I, Nadine, 32F, got married 8 months ago after dating for 4 years. Everyone showed up, friends, in-laws, relatives, except my parents and my golden sister 30F. Her skipping it expected. She's always overshadowed me with her flawless achievements. But my parents refusing that cut deep, a stark reminder of their lifelong favoritism. She's excelled at everything: school triumphs, modeling gigs, landing a high-powered job by 30. Me. A solid mid-level teacher in Bend, Oregon, proud but never their spotlight. They'd host grand parties for her milestones, framing her successes like trophies. My wins dismissed with a casual nod. Engagement announcement, chilling silence. Then my mother firing off, rushing into this, get in shape first. My father stayed mute. Planning hit walls, they ignored venue hunts and dress tries, already dreaming up her wedding. Invites flew out digital with read receipts, physical with tracking. They received them, then vanished on follow-ups with flimsy dodges. Wedding day arrived pristine, but those vacant front seats slammed like betrayal. No toasts, no dance. My sister erupted over the line. "You've disgraced our family." Furious, I'd tied the knot first. But 1 year later, they wished they'd never treated me that way. If you've battled family favoritism like this, smash like, subscribe for more raw tales, and share your story in the comments. It builds a community through the mess. But I never expected the roots of this drama to trace back to my childhood in Bend. My parents have always favored my sister over me, and I can't entirely blame them. She's excelled at pretty much everything throughout her life. From the moment she could walk, she was the star of every room she entered. During elementary school, she won every spelling bee, science fair, and talent show. High school was more of the same: class president, valedictorian, prom queen. She's conventionally attractive, tall, slim, and striking enough that she did some modeling during college, before focusing on her law degree. I still remember when she landed her first modeling gig in her sophomore year. My parents threw a huge party to celebrate, inviting all our relatives and her friends. They framed her first professional headshot and hung it in our living room right above the fireplace where it still sits today. When I graduated with my education degree that same year, they simply said good job and went back to planning her next shoot. Right after graduation, she landed a position at a prestigious firm in Portland and quickly climbed the corporate ladder. At 30, she's already a senior attorney with a corner office and company car. Meanwhile, I work as a mid-level high school teacher at a decent school in Bend. It's a good job, and I'm proud of what I do, but it's not the kind of career that makes parents brag at family gatherings. I'm also shorter and heavier than my sister. Growing up, my mother constantly put me on diets, signed me up for exercise classes I didn't want to take, and made not-so-subtle comments about my appearance. "Your sister never has trouble with her weight," she'd say, or, "If you just tried a little harder, you could look as nice as your sister." By high school, I'd learned to tune out these comments, but they still left their mark. I've come to terms with these differences over the years. It used to hurt that my parents never showed the same pride in my achievements as they did in Pearl's, but I eventually accepted it. What choice did I have? I spent years trying to earn their approval, joining clubs they suggested, taking classes. They recommended even briefly attempting modeling myself, which was a disaster that my sister never lets me forget. But nothing was ever good enough. They were obsessed with her accomplishments, and I was just the other daughter. At some point in my mid-20s, I stopped trying to impress them. I focused on building my own life, advancing in my career on my own terms, and developing relationships with people who valued me for who I am. Honestly, things got much better after that. I maintained a surface-level contact with my parents to avoid drama, knowing they were always conscious about keeping up appearances. We'd meet for obligatory holiday dinners and occasional family events, where I'd smile and nod while they gushed about her latest promotion or boyfriend or vacation home. They didn't seem to mind my emotional distance since they had Pearl to dote on. This shift allowed me to explore teaching opportunities in the local community, where I found fulfillment in mentoring students who appreciated my efforts without comparison. Over time, I built a network of colleagues who saw my strengths, helping me realize that validation didn't have to come from family. Then I met my husband through a mutual friend at an education conference in Bend. Unlike my family, he really saw me from the start. He appreciated my dry sense of humor, my teaching skills, and yes, even my body type. He never once compared me to anyone else or suggested I should change. After 4 years of dating, he proposed during a quiet moment at home, just the two of us with takeout and our favorite show playing in the background. It was perfect. When I got engaged last year, I naturally informed my parents. Their reaction should have been my first warning sign. Instead of congratulations, there was just silence. Then my mother asked if I was sure I wanted to rush into this, and suggested I might want to get in better shape before the wedding. My father barely said anything at all. My husband noticed their strange reaction during the engagement party, something I was too nervous to fully process at the time. They spent most of the evening in a corner hunched over my mother's phone. Later, my husband told me he'd overheard them on the phone with my sister, who was apparently crying. He caught fragments of their conversation, something about how this wasn't the plan and how they never expected me to get married first. The wedding planning process was a series of subtle disappointments. My mother, who had already created multiple wedding Pinterest boards for my sister, despite her not being engaged at the time, showed no interest in helping me choose a venue or dress. When I found my dress a simple but elegant A-line gown that made me feel beautiful, my mother's only comment was that it was practical and suitable for my figure. I ended up doing most of the planning with my future mother-in-law, who treated me like the daughter she never had. She helped with everything from flower arrangements to seating charts. My husband's sister even threw me a beautiful bridal shower, where the absence of my own family was painfully obvious but never mentioned. I sent both electronic and physical wedding invitations, meticulously checking and double-checking the guest list with my husband to ensure no one was forgotten. The electronic invitations had red receipts, so I know my parents received theirs. When I noticed they hadn't RSVP'd, I tried calling, texting, and emailing multiple times. They either ignored my messages or replied with vague excuses about being very busy and needing to check their schedules. I had my hands full with wedding preparations, so I couldn't spend too much energy worrying about it. My in-laws were wonderfully supportive, stepping in where my family fell short. Throughout this, my husband kept pointing out patterns in their behavior that I had overlooked. For instance, during a family dinner before the wedding, my parents kept steering conversations back to my sister's career advancements, even as we tried to discuss our plans. It was as if my milestone didn't register. Looking back, these moments built a picture of their reluctance, but at the time, I pushed through, determined to make the day special despite them. The invitations went out, but their responses, or lack thereof, only made things worse. I sent both electronic and physical versions, double-checking the guest list with Christopher to make sure no one got missed. The digital ones had red receipts confirming my parents opened them. For the paper invites, we used tracked delivery, and the confirmation showed they arrived at their door in Bend. But weeks passed without an RSVP from them. I followed up with calls, texts, and emails, only to get vague responses about busy schedules or needing more time to confirm. Their excuses piled up like work deadlines or prior commitments they couldn't shift. I pushed the worry aside, focusing on other details since the wedding prep kept me occupied. My mother-in-law stepped up big time, helping with venue scouting and decor ideas. We settled on an outdoor spot in a local Bend park with mountain views, perfect for a relaxed ceremony. She even organized tastings for the caterer and coordinated with the florist for simple arrangements that fit our budget. Meanwhile, my parents showed zero interest. When I mentioned the venue over a quick call, my mother dismissed it as quaint and changed the subject to my sister's recent case win at her firm. My father stayed silent during most conversations, offering only grunts when pressed. Dress shopping turned into another letdown. I found a clean A-line gown that hugged my curves without being flashy, making me feel confident for the first time in ages. My mother-in-law cheered during the fitting, suggesting minor alterations for comfort. But when I shared a photo with my mother, her reply was curt. "It's practical, suitable for your build. Nee." No excitement, no offers to join future appointments. Instead, she rambled about hypothetical dresses for my sister's big day, even though she wasn't engaged yet. It stung, but I leaned on Christopher, who reassured me the dress was stunning and that her opinion didn't matter. His sister threw a low-key bridal shower at her place, inviting close friends and his family. Games, laughs, and gifts flowed, but the gap from my side stood out. No aunts or cousins from my parents' branch showed. Whispers circulated about why, but no one pressed. Christopher pulled me aside later, noting how my parents had dodged helping from the start. He recalled their odd behavior at the engagement party, where they huddled over the phone, likely venting to my sister. "They seem shocked you're moving forward without waiting for her," he said. It clicked. Then their hesitation stemmed from me beating her to the altar. As the date neared, I juggled final touches like seating charts and vendor confirmations. My in-laws handled logistics I couldn't, turning potential stress into smooth sailing. Yet the radio silence from my parents lingered, a quiet storm building. Their lack of involvement spoke volumes, hinting at deeper resentments I hadn't fully grasped. The wedding day arrived, and their absence felt like a punch. We held the ceremony in a park venue in Bend, followed by a relaxed reception. The setup included simple decorations and a small band, but the empty seats in the front row, where my parents should have been, created an undeniable void. Without them, the father-daughter dance got skipped entirely, leaving a gap in the schedule that everyone noticed but politely ignored. Their absence turned moments of joy into sharp reminders of rejection. My sister called right after the vows, her voice furious through the phone. "You've disgraced our family," she screamed, ranting about how I had no right to marry first and how this upset the natural order. Her words echoed in my ear as I hung up, leaving me shaken amid the celebrations. Ryan Hayes, my sister's ex-boyfriend and a guest through mutual friends, approached me during the reception. He offered quick condolences, mentioning he'd seen similar favoritism when dating her and how it strained their relationship. His brief comment opened a door to unspoken tensions, but I nodded and moved on. The pain lingered, yet the event remained joyful with Christopher by my side. We danced under string lights, cut the cake with cheers from his family, and shared laughs over speeches from in-laws who treated me like one of their own. Their support bridged the emotional holes left by my side. I wondered if everyone has felt this kind of family betrayal and how they moved past it. After the honeymoon, I decided to confront them, but news of my sister's engagement escalated everything. A few months after the wedding, I heard through family channels that my sister got engaged to someone she'd been dating for a year. My cousin Amber mentioned it during a casual call, noting how my parents were buzzing with excitement. They had already started booking exclusive venues in Bend and discussing designer dresses, with my mother joining her for private fittings at high-end boutiques. All the mother-daughter bonding I never got. They bragged in family group chats. I wasn't part of, sharing photos of venue tours and gown sketches, emphasizing how this would be the event of the year. Interestingly, several relatives began declining invitations to her engagement party. Word about my parents' behavior at my wedding had spread through family circles. When asked why they skipped mine, I just stated the facts. They couldn't handle me marrying before their favorite. No embellishments, no sympathy-seeking, just the truth as I saw it. One aunt called to confirm the story, saying she'd heard from others and found it disappointing. Another cousin texted, expressing shock at the favoritism they'd long suspected but never voiced. A few days later, my parents contacted me, accusing me of sabotaging my sister's events. They sent a long email detailing how relatives were making excuses not to attend because of rumors I'd spread out of jealousy. My sister had vented to Amber, who relayed that people hesitated due to how my family treated me. My parents insisted I was maliciously tarnishing their image, demanding I correct the narrative with everyone. but I simply replied that if the truth hurt, they should reflect on their actions instead of blaming me. Their message included screenshots of declined RSVPs blaming me for the fallout without acknowledging their role. Ryan Hayes reached out unexpectedly, sharing how my sister had dumped him because he didn't fit her successful image, mirroring the favoritism I'd endured. He described instances where she pressured him to match her ambitions, even lying to my parents about his job to maintain appearances. His story validated my experiences, showing her manipulative side extended beyond family and into relationships. It explained why he attended my wedding to see if the patterns persisted. Amber shifted from neutral to supportive, confiding more incidents of bias she'd witnessed over the years. She recalled holidays where my achievements got overshadowed by my sister's news or family trips where I was sidelined. Her insights strengthened my resolve, highlighting patterns I hadn't fully connected before. We discussed how the gossip in Ben's small community amplified everything, with locals starting to whisper about the imbalance. Then my sister jumped in directly with condescending messages. 2 weeks later, my sister took matters into her own hands. She sent me a series of condescending messages dripping with her usual mix of subtle digs and moral superiority. "What you said to Mom and Dad was completely out of line," she wrote. "They've given us everything, supported us through every phase. You can't accuse them of favoritism just because you're insecure about your choices." The texts continued criticizing my wedding as not exactly dream material, and implying her upcoming one would set a higher standard. "Some of us work hard for certain levels," she added. "Not everything has to be a competition." Unable to get a response from me, she tracked down Christopher's number, probably through a shared contact. Her messages to him started politely, "As your sister-in-law, I care about the family." But they quickly turned controlling, urging him to guide me toward better behavior. She explained family dynamics as complex, suggesting my sensitivity blinded me to the bigger picture. The kicker came when she appealed to his ambitions. "Maintaining ties with successful relatives like me could benefit your future. My behavior hurts my prospects and yours by extension." Christopher found her attempts hilarious, especially her assumption he'd be swayed by networking promises. "She doesn't know me at all," he said. We read the messages together that evening, turning what could have been anger into laughter. Her tactics revealed her insecurity, needing to belittle others to feel superior. Ryan chipped in during a follow-up chat, describing how she once pressured him to exaggerate his job title to impress my parents. "She controlled every narrative back then too," he noted, "turning friends against you if you didn't fit her script." His account matched patterns from our teen years, where she'd undermine my friendships by highlighting my flaws. He mentioned a specific instance from a college party where she spread rumors to isolate me from a group, ensuring she remained the center. With that validation, I blocked her number without hesitation. Years of her manipulation had taught me engaging only fueled her. Amber provided more context later, recalling specific family outings where my sister orchestrated attention shifts. "Remember that trip to the coast?" she asked. "You won a beach contest, but she announced a modeling callback, stealing the moment." These stories solidified the long-standing bias, making the current drama feel inevitable. She also shared how my sister had downplayed my teaching awards at dinners, redirecting praise to her legal victories. The block brought immediate relief, cutting off her direct access to stir trouble. Christopher and I spent the night discussing healthier bonds, appreciating how his family contrasted with mine. Their support had become my anchor, proving true. Connections didn't require constant validation. We brainstormed ways to build our own traditions free from the old patterns. As the conversation wound down, I felt a shift toward closure on this chapter of sibling rivalry. Ryan's insights and Amber's anecdotes helped piece together the full picture, empowering me to move forward without looking back. My parents attempted damage control, but it backfired spectacularly. They began calling relatives individually, spinning a tale that I spread vicious lies out of bitterness over my sister's grand wedding plans. According to them, I deliberately excluded them from my event to play the victim, claiming I sent invites to old addresses, which was nonsense as they still live in the same Bend house for decades and use unchanged emails. Their story painted my ceremony as lackluster compared to hers, insisting my jealousy drove the rumors. But their attempts imploded. Relatives pushed back with their own accounts of favoritism. One uncle recalled a birthday where my teaching certification got ignored because my sister announced a law firm promotion. Another aunt mentioned a holiday dinner where my parents canceled my recognition to celebrate her court victory. These revelations surfaced in group calls, exposing cracks in their perfect facade. The more they defended, the more details emerged, turning their narrative against them. Amber amplified the truth by sharing specific examples with extended family. She described a family reunion in Bend, where my parents praised my sister's modeling portfolio while dismissing my classroom projects as hobbies. Her stories resonated, prompting others to recall similar slights. Soon, key family members withdrew support for my sister's wedding, including those slated for roles like officiant or bridesmaid. The venue secured through a relative's connection suddenly faced availability issues. The boutique, owned by a family friend, cited scheduling conflicts for fittings. Ryan contributed by confiding in mutual acquaintances about my sister's past manipulations. He detailed how she once fabricated stories to end his friendships that didn't align with her image-mirroring tactics she'd used on me. His input spread through Ben's tight-knit circles, fueling whispers that eroded her reputation. Locals who knew both of us started questioning the golden child myth, with some even reaching out to me for confirmation. I stayed out of it, letting the facts speak. Every push from my parents revealed more about their bias, damaging their image further. Family members who'd stayed silent before now sided, openly apologizing for not speaking up sooner. My father's brother, long neutral to preserve peace, declared he and his household would skip her events. The irony hit hard. Their desperate bids to protect the family illusion were dismantling it. As the fallout grew, I felt a strange calm. The weight of unspoken grievances lifted, replaced by clarity from these exposures. Christopher summed it up during a quiet evening. They built this on uneven ground. It was bound to collapse. His words rang true, highlighting how their actions invited this unraveling. The situation evolved rapidly, with more relatives distancing themselves, turning what should have been her triumphant planning into a series of cancellations. 1 year later, they regretted everything. The full impact hit them hard. My parents and my sister grappled with profound isolation in Ben's interconnected circles, where word traveled fast and loyalties shifted. Relatives who'd once idolized her distanced themselves entirely, skipping holidays and casual meetups due to the unearthed bias. Invitations to gatherings dried up, leaving them on the outskirts of family networks they'd dominated for years. Business opportunities vanished too. My father's side gigs in local consulting evaporated as former partners cited discomfort with the revelations, while my sister's firm saw client hesitations amid whispers of her family's dysfunction. Social events became sparse, with neighbors politely declining coffee invites after hearing the gossip. Even community groups they led saw membership drops as people questioned their leadership amid the exposed hypocrisy. The golden facade they'd crafted cracked irreparably, forcing them to confront a reality without the adulation they craved, leading to tense home dynamics and unspoken regrets. I severed ties outright, erasing their numbers from my phone and ignoring any attempts at reconciliation. No lingering guilt compelled me to respond. I'd outgrown the cycle of seeking scraps of approval. This clean break ushered in liberation, allowing space for authentic bonds. Life with Christopher flourished in ways I'd never imagined: lazy mornings brewing coffee together, spontaneous drives through Oregon's scenic routes, and shared goals like saving for a home edition. We explored new hobbies such as photography classes in town, capturing Ben's natural beauty to build our own memories. His steady presence anchored me, a stark contrast to the conditional affection I'd known. We hosted small dinners with his relatives, fostering warmth that filled previous voids, complete with laughter over board games and heartfelt toasts. Ryan evolved into a reliable acquaintance, meeting occasionally for coffee in town. He shared updates on his own recovery from the breakup, detailing how distancing from my sister's influence sparked his career growth in engineering. Dodging that bullet opened my eyes. He confided during one chat, recounting how her demands for perfection stifled his ambitions. We discussed strategies for setting boundaries, drawing parallels between his ex-relationship and my family ties. His journey mirrored mine, reinforcing that release from toxicity bred strength. Amber stayed connected too, evolving from informant to confidant. She organized low-key outings like group walks in the parks, where we dissected past events without bitterness. Her validation of overlooked slights helped heal lingering doubts, turning shared stories into cathartic release. Together, we volunteered at local schools, channeling energy into positive community impact. Through it all, I internalized a vital lesson: family extends beyond lineage. It's forged in mutual respect and unwavering backing. Releasing their grip unveiled self-reliance, demonstrating that personal value stems from internal resolve, not external praise. I pondered if countless others navigated parallel crossroads, opting for autonomy over entrenched discord, discovering empowerment in detachment. This insight reshaped my worldview, emphasizing choice in relationships over obligation. This culmination delivered resolution I'd long dismissed as impossible, validating that authenticity triumphs over artifice. Embracing life unencumbered with Christopher as my partner, I stepped into tomorrow liberated and resolute, ready for whatever came next. What would you do in my shoes? Comment below and let me know.